My dear students, this is your physical and health education teacher, Mrs. Izudo Jeyu. Today we are going to look at volleyball. But before we look at the topic volleyball, we are going to look at the objectives. What are we going to achieve at the end of the lesson? Now, at the end of the lesson, students should be able to play the game of volleyball, 2, execute the skills in volleyball, 3, mention the officials in volleyball and their functions, 4, write the rules and regulations in the game of volleyball. Now, we are going, like I told us, we are going to look at the history of volleyball. We look at the what and the nature of the game of volleyball. We look at the facility. We look at the equipment. We look at the officials in volleyball and their various functions, and then the rules and regulations in volleyball. Okay? Now let's look at the history of volleyball. Volleyball was invented in the United States of America in 1895. Just after 4 years, basketball was invented. It was invented by a man called what? William Morgan. What did I say? A man called what? William Morgan, who was then the physical education director in an association called the Young Men Christian World Association in United States of America. The aim of this game volleyball was to have a less strenuous game that would be played by members of this association. Now, like I told us before, volleyball was invented in 1895, just after 4 years after basketball was invented. Okay, now why did I say so? Now basketball, please, I'm digressing a little. Basketball was invented in 1891 by a man called what? James Gibb. This man was equally, a physical education director in that same Young Men Christian Association. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Okay. Now this man invented the game just for them to, to see what they can use as recreation. It was like a club. It was an association. All right. Now the game of this basketball was strenuous. Remember, basketball involves fast run in the court, and not only fast run in the court. We see somebody getting the ball and running to his or her opponent's basket to make a basket. You can see it was stressful. And that was why this man called William Morgan decided to invent a less strenuous game. Okay? Now, the official volleyball rules were included in the handbook of the Athletic League. The International Volleyball Federation, IVBF, was founded in April in 1974 in Paris, and in 1964, volleyball became what? An Olympic game. Okay, you can see when volleyball became an Olympic game. That was when volleyball started featuring in Olympic game. And then in 1970, the Amateur Volleyball Association was formed. Okay. Now we look at the nature of volleyball. What do we mean by the nature of volleyball? The nature of volleyball means how is this game played? Where is it played? How many persons play the game? How is it played in general? Okay. Now the game of volleyball is played between 2 teams. Each team is composed of 6 players. The composition of complete team, including the substitutes, may not exceed 12 players. Now, who are the those that are in the back bench? Is those that will replace the people playing in the court. Probably they are wounded or they are tired and they cannot continue in the court. So these are the people that replace them. Okay. Now let's continue. The ball is played over the net, which divides the court into 2 halves, with each team occupying one side of the court. Volleyball is put into play by the serving team with a skill called service. Only the serving team can make a point. True or false committed by the receiving team. All right. Now the first team to reach a maximum score or point of 21 wins the game. If there is a tie at 20-20, the game continues until a team make 2 points or score ahead of his what? Opponent. Example 20, 22, 24, 22, 24. Can you see? A match usually consists of 2 out of 3 games or 3 out of what? 5 games. All right. Now you can see this game of volleyball played on a rectangular court. Okay, let's look at the court now. Now look at the court. The court is a facility in volleyball. Remember, before we categorize facility, equipment, and what supply. And now, how did we define a facility in physical education? We said facility is permanent what? Structure. What did I say? Permanent structure that is used in the play of physical activities. Now, if you look round, we play in the field, we swim in the swimming pool, we play in a volleyball court just like this, we do our athletics in the field and in the track. Is it okay? Now, these are what I have just mentioned now are facilities. You can see none of them can be moved from where they are to your classroom or to your homes. You can see they are what? Facilities. And how did I define facility? I say facility is a permanent what? Structure that can be used in the play of physical what? Activity. Is it all right? How did I define facility? I say facility is a permanent structure that can be used in the play of what? Physical what? Activities. All right? So you can see example here. Now you can see the court. You can see the court is a rectangular court, and I said that is played by 2 teams. 2 teams of 6 players each. You can see the players here. You can see number 1, you see 2, you see 3, you see 4, you see 5, and then you see 6. Now you see the center line that divides the court and the net that is attached. And then on the other side, you can see the other 6 players, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and then number 6. Now this is exactly the positions of players just before the game starts. You can see how they are positioned. And the way they are positioned, that is the order in which they will serve the ball. Okay? Let us still go further to describe the facility. Now you can see the length of the facility. You see the longer line, which measures 18 meters, is called the sideline. You can see the other end line, which measures 9 meters. You can see it then. You can see. Okay. Now at the end line, you will see a small box at each end of the end lines. Now this small box is called the serving ward area, or you call it the service area. Now this service area is where the ball will be served. Remember I told us that volleyball is started with the skill of service. But before this service starts, there's always what we call a toss. What is a toss? Toss is T-O-S-S. Toss is a strategy that can be used to determine the player that will start or the team that will start the game first. Is it okay? There's always a modality to do this. So any team that wins the toss will now decide they will serve first and then decide the side of the court to stay. Just you can see this other player. This 6 other players are staying here. The other 6 is staying there. Is it all right? Now you can now see why it's a less strenuous game. Like I told us before, basketball involved a player running from his court to his opponent's court to go and make a basket. Then you now see this one, they are just in their court. All they need to do is to use the various skills of service, volley, dig, and the other skills to play the ball. So you can see it's less strenuous. All right? Now, this game, like I told us, is started by the Now you see, now I want to explain something here. Now you can see, if this particular team, if one of the team wins the toss, you can see number 1 will come into the box and then serve the ball. How will he serve the ball? He serve the ball, over the net in a diagonal manner. When he serve the ball, if the ball is not well served, assuming the ball touches the net, he's given one opportunity to reserve. When he reserves the game again, and if the ball touches the net, it becomes a fault against them. and the right of service goes over to his opponent. Are you getting me? Then he will now go to number 6. Number 6 will move to number 5. Number 5 will move to number 4. Number 4 will move to number 3. Number 3 will move to number 2. And then number 2 will now come to this position number 1 was. Is it all right? And so the next time, it is their turn to serve. Who will serve now? Number 2 will do what? Serve. And what will he do? He will now move into the what? Into the serving area. Remember we said that the other right of service has gone over to their own, to their opponents. Is it all right? So if their opponent equally serve, and they served well, okay, the rally continues. So the ball is volleyed to and fro over the net. Now, if a team is not able to get the ball, what will happen? They have committed a fault. Their opponents will get a point, and they will equally lose the right of what? Service. Remember, I told us it's only the serving team that makes a point. Is it all right? Is it okay? Now we can see the facility. This is exactly what we call the volleyball court. And now the order of service is just like this. Like I said, number 1 will serve. Now, when he serves, after service, immediately he moves into the court. Is it okay? He will move into the court. As he moves into the court, rally or play will continue. They will keep, getting the ball across, themselves. I mean the two teams over the net. Is it all right? Now we are coming to those skills. When I get to those skills, I will explain them more. But I will just want to. So the duration of this game is what? 20 what? Minutes. Is it all right? 20 minutes. Okay? I will explain more as we'll continue. But I just want you to know this is what? A volleyball court, and is a facility in what? In volleyball. Is it all right? Are you getting me? Now, can you remember how I defined facility? I said facility is permanent structure that is used in the play of what? In the play of what? Physical activity. Like this one now, we have the volleyball court here. Is a facility, all right? Like I said before, why is it a facility? Now it's a facility because it is stuck in one place. It is permanently stuck in one place. It cannot be moved. Assuming now, can you move your court or your swimming pool to another place? No, you cannot. Like I said before, now we have in physical activity, we have facilities in athletics. We have the track. We have the field. In courts, we have the basketball court. We have the volleyball court. We have the handball court. We have the hockey pitch. Is it all right? We have the swimming pool. These are facilities. You can see why they cannot be moved from one place to the other, and so we call them facility. Okay? Now let's continue. When I come to skill, I will explain each of those skills. All right? Is it okay? Maybe I will explain each of those skills. All right? Let's continue. Let's look at the equipment in volleyball. The equipment in volleyball, as we can see, is the net. Now, this is a pictorial view of volleyball courts. Now, remember when we were talking about the equipment, I mentioned the net. I just want to show you how the net is attached. You can see the net just attached by the center line. Is it okay? Now, this is like I told you, the length of the court measures 18 meters. You can see it there now. We have the width, which is 9 meters, okay? Now, this is the back court. The back court, like I showed us, in the other courts, where the position of the players. This is the back court where you have the 1, 6, and 5 players there. This is the front court where you have the 2, 3, and 4 players. Is it all right? Whatever applies to this side of the court also applies to the other side. Is it all right? So you can see all. Now you see how the net is attached with a pole by the side line. Is it all right? Okay. Now, the second equipment we have is the ball. We have the jersey. So you can wear jersey. You can wear shorts on t-shirt. You can as well wear what? Canvas. Is it all right? Now we have the next equipment. We have the whistle and we have the referee stand. Is it okay? Now, we are now going to look at the fundamental skills in volleyball. Now, what are the skills? We have the volley, the service, the setup, the smash, which can also be called the what? The spike. We have the dig, and we have the word block. So right now here, we are going to explain each of these skills. We want to know what they are, all right? Now, for the volley is keeping the ball in the air just before it touches the ground. Is it all right? It is performed with the fingertip for the purpose of what? Sustaining play. Is it okay? We'll now move on to service. Like I said before, service is the act. Is the act of putting the ball into play by a player from the serving team. It is a weapon of attack which can be used to a great advantage. Why I say great advantage here is that from service, you can gain a point. Is it all right? If you serve the ball and your opponent is not able to contact the ball, you have made a point. Is it all right? That's why I said it can be used to a great advantage of what? Making a point. And so you see here, now what I have here is the three different types, of service we have. We have the underarm serve, we have the windmill serve, and we have the overhead serve. Now it depends on the player to choose the kind of service he or she wants. Remember I said when any player is serving, where will he serve from? He will not serve from inside the court. He will serve from the service area. Is it all right? Now we have some service faults. It is a service fault if A, the ball touches the net, B, the ball passes under the net, C, the ball touches the vertical side, okay, D, the ball touches a player of the serving team or any object before entering the opponent's court, and then E, the ball lands outside the limits of the opponent's court, and then F, serving out of order. These are the various service faults we have. So what are the service faults? Now number one, I say again, the ball touches the net is a service fault. Now remember a net here. Ball touching the net is a fault. Now ball passing under the net is also a fault. The ball touching the vertical side is a fault. The ball touching a player of the serving team or any object before entering the opponent's court is a fault. And then the ball landing outside the limits of the opponent's court. And then the ball being served out of order. These are all service faults we have. Service faults we have, okay? Now we have the setup. Now let me explain a little before I read what I have in the notes. Now setup is a skill that is used to initiate a smash. Now in setup is just simply playing the ball up high, on the, now if I'm in team A, now the three front court players, now if we're able to play the ball up high, another player within the team can now jump up and do and smash the ball. So you can see what setup is. Setup is playing the ball very high in such a way it will be very high above the net. Is it all right? So let's look at what we have in the notes. Setup is one of the strategies used in volleyball. It is from setup that smash takes place. Its main aim is to position the ball in the air for a spiking motion. The player should go under the ball as quickly as possible. Are you getting what I'm saying? Setup is when one of the forward players jump very high and spike the ball down into the opponent's court with full force. Now you can see what I mean. When the ball is already very high, now what will somebody do? Now the person is trying to initiate a spike. Are you getting what I'm saying? That is what setup is. It's one of the strategies to make a point. And then we have smash here. Like we have already said, for the setup, it initiates spike. Let's now look at what spike is. Spike or smash is the major offensive skill. For a good smashing or spiking, a player must jump very high to get his hand on top of the ball. Remember, this ball is already set, has already been set up. So what a player will do is to jump very high and do smash the ball. If you smash rightly and with force, your opponents cannot get the ball. Definitely you're going to make a point. Is it all right? Now I said here, now you can see. So you can see what smash is. Smash is one of the major offensive, skill that is used in making what? A point. Is it alright? Now, when smash, you will now discover the other team discover that his opponents are about to do what? To make, to spike the ball. What would they do? They will do what we call the block. What is the block? Now, look at it here. Now, the block is a defensive action. The block is an action which is used to stop an opponent's good spike. It could be done by a player, 2 or more players. Blocking is usually performed by the front court what? Players. And it is done by raising the arm to form what? A wall. For correct blocking, the 3 front court players line up near the net and raise their hand up. Now you can see what block is. You can see what block is. So the 3 front court players, when they know that the opponents are about spiking the ball, what will they do? The 3 of them, they will stand very close to the net, raise their hands up. Now, assuming the spike ball is coming, if they are lucky, the ball can get to their hands and bounce back to their opponent. So when it bounces back to their opponent, now even if they want to volley the ball back, of course they cannot spike because the ball is already low. So you can just spike from a ball that is very high. You can see what blocking here. It's a defensive action. Is it all right? So it is the 3 front court players that blocks the ball. Is it all right? And now let's look at the skill dig. The skill of dig is used in volleyball to raise a low ball, a ball that cannot be played over the net to the next partner, okay? Or it used to push the ball that is too close to the body. So this is just dig. So what is dig? Dig is used in raising a low ball or a ball that is too close to the body. Definitely when a ball comes and is too close to the body. Now remember, it will be very difficult for a player to volley the ball, to get the ball across the net to his opponent. Is it not true? Rather, what the player will just do is to clinch the fist. It can be with one hand, it can be with 2 hands, and dig it out. When he digs out the ball, his partner will now do what? Volley the ball. Is it all right? But remember, now a team cannot touch the ball for more than 3 times. Now, assuming I'm digging out the ball, now the next player can volley. If he cannot volley, the other 3rd player can do what? Get the ball across the net to their opponent. But you cannot have a 4th touch of the ball at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so we have the various types of dig. We have the 2-handed dig. We have the 1-handed dig. In other words, for the 2-handed dig, what it means, you can close, you can use 2 hands to volley. You can use only 1 hand to volley the ball. Is it all right? Now we talked about the block, okay? Now we are going to look at the rules and regulations in volleyball. Remember, now we adhere to rules even in our homes. So volleyball have rules that guide it. So look at the various rules. Number 1, no player should play the ball twice in succession. What do I mean by that? Playing the ball twice in succession, assuming I am just playing, I get the ball up, the ball comes down, I get it up again. No, it's a fault. So if I do that, it means I have played the ball twice in succession. And what does it mean? It means I've committed a fault. So my opponent gets a point. Is it all right? So no player should play the ball twice in succession. Now, number 2, when a side out is called against a team, that team loses scoring opportunity. Can you imagine? Then the 3rd one, no volleyball player should commit the following faults. And now, what are those faults that should not be committed? Now, A, illegal blocking. 2, scooping the ball or holding or pushing the ball. You can't push the ball. You will only use all those skills to do what? To advance the ball to your opponent or to your partner. And so you will not push the ball. And then we have double hitting the ball. These are the various rules and regulations in volleyball. All right? Now we look at the officials in volleyball. Who are the officials now? Number 1, we have the referee. 2, we have the umpire. 3, we have the linesman. Another name for linesman is the word marksman. What did I say? Another name for linesman is the word marksman, okay? And now the 4th official is the scorer. Now we are going to look at their functions. What is the function of the referee in volleyball? Now, number 1, the referee presides over the game. He presides over the game. Number 2, he makes sure that the game starts at the scheduled time. Remember, I told us the duration for a game in volleyball is 20 minutes. And so he knows when the game started and when it will do end. So it's the responsibility of the referee. Even though he does not keep time, but he makes sure the game starts at the scheduled time. Now, the 3rd function of the referee is that he inspects the court and sees that the court is properly marked and that the net is at a given height. So the court is properly marked. Remember, when we look at the court, the facility, it was marked. You can see the back court, you saw the front court, and you saw how the players are positioned. Now, the 4th function of the referee is that he enforces the rules and regulations of the game. He makes sure that the rules are adhered to. Is it all right? And now the 5th function is that he makes final decisions on issues not covered by rules. Now remember, we have the rules and regulations, but there might be occasion that will come and you discover that something happens that is not in the rules. So the referee will overrule and decide what to do. Okay, we have the functions of the umpire. The umpire assists the referee. Now 2, he sees that the game moves smoothly without delay. Now the third function is that he watches for the center line faults. The 4th one, he keeps the official time out. The 5th one, he indicates infringement resulting from unsportsmanlike attitude. What is an unsportsmanlike attitude? Now, unsportsmanlike attitude, like now let me give you a good example. Like in basketball, we have what we call technical faults. Now, in the technical fault, we have fighting official, deliberately delaying the game. These are some of those unsportsmanlike attitude. Is it all right? A sportsman must not do fight because of game. So you can see. So the umpire indicates infringement resulting from unsportsmanlike behavior or manner. Is it all right? We now move on to the functions of the scorer. The scorer keeps accurate record of points scored. Now 2, he keeps record of number of warnings given for misbehavior. Now the 3rd one, he announces the number of timeouts required by each team. And then the 4th one, he knows the order of rotation at the beginning of the game. Like I said, ball is served in clockwise rotation. Is it okay? When I explained number 1, going into the service area to serve. Now at the end, once he finishes serving, he comes into the court. And where will he go to? He goes to number 6. You can see number 6 will go to 5. 5 will go to 4. 4 will come to number 3 position. Number 3 will come to number 2 position. Is it okay? And then number 2 will do come to number 1 position. And so when there's they have opportunity to do to serve the ball, number 2 will serve the ball. You can see now the order of service is in clockwise rotation. So it's the responsibility of the scorer to make sure it is done in order. Now the 5th function of the scorer is that he records substitution. The 6th function, he checks and approves substitution. 7, he signals change of side in a deciding game. Okay, and then the last function of the scorer is that he signs the final score sheet. Okay, you can see the various functions the scorer performs. Now we look at the functions of the linesman. The functions of the linesman. Now number 1, he indicates service faults. Now 2, he indicates whether the ball is in court or out of court. So his own duty is to make sure players obey the rules as regards to what? To lines. All right. Now, okay, we have done rotation of players in volleyball. Like I said before, rotation is in what? In clockwise what? Direction. Rotation is in what? In clockwise direction. Okay, let's go to the court so that I will explain more. Okay, sorry, let's go there. Okay, so in other words, rotation is done in what? In clockwise what? Direction. You can see number one, like I said before. Now number one will serve. When he finishes serving, he goes to number 6 position, just number 6 to 5, and you can see the order. Number 2 will eventually come to number 1, and so when is they have opportunity to serve again, who will serve number 2? So you see, it's clockwise. How does your clock go? It goes, right? Is it not true? Okay, so the service, their service is in what? Clockwise what direction? Okay, now let's go. So you can see what we've done. We've looked at the various skills, functions, what is being done there, and all what not. So we look at the officials in volleyball. Okay, we have looked at the official in volleyball. We are going to look at the what? At the various we look at the what? Assignment now. Okay, now please, you read what you have in the notes and do these various assignments. Okay, number 1 in the assignment: what is the name of the man that invented volleyball game? List the skills in volleyball and explain what? Each. You're going to explain each of the skills. Now the third one: mention one offensive skill in volleyball. The fourth one: write 4 rules and regulations in volleyball. And then the fifth one: mention the equipment in volleyball. All right, thank you very much for listening to me. Okay, keep reading your books. By God's special grace, you write your exam and you all pass. The only thing you owe me is to read your book. Is it all right? Read seriously. Don't waste your time playing. Okay, thank you very much.